This episode is brought to you by the Cape Ann YMCA. Hey guys, Troy here with Cape Ann Conversations. Thanks for joining us. I've got a couple guests with me today. I'm going to make a quick introduction and then we'll let them talk about their roles. This is an important one, guys. We're talking mental health on the North Shore here. I've got Chelsea from the City of Gloucester's Health Department, and I've got Ranjiv from the YMCA of the North Shore. We'll start here. Ranjiv, tell us about sort of your role. It's actually a new role at the YMCA, and then we'll pop it over to Chelsea.
Yeah. So I'm Ranjiv Benjamin, and I am the Executive Director of Mental Wellness for the YMCA of the North Shore. And it's a relatively new role. I've been there about a year and a half now, and I'm a social worker by training. And around the time of COVID, when we were all seeing this uptick in mental health challenges, the YMCA and some of its donors really felt like we needed to step up a little bit and support the community's mental health in a different way. And it's interesting, the YMCA's mission actually has healthy living in mind, body, and spirit as part of the mission, but the mind was never really the focus. And so we pushed that a little bit and sort of highlighted the mind. And so my role was created. And for folks who don't know, the YMCA of the North Shore is actually 7 YMCAs that have come together to form an association over many decades. So it's Cape Ann, Beverly, Haverhill, Ipswich, Gloucester. Let's see.
Where do you sit on a daily?
I work out of the Beverly office, the association office in Beverly.
Okay.
But I travel around to the various Ys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Chelsea, give us a little rundown on your role and where you operate in the city of Gloucester.
Sure. So I work at the Gloucester Health Department on the prevention team. So we're a small but mighty 3-person team focused on youth substance use prevention and mental health promotion. And really the way that we approach that is by building up the protective factors in our community that keep kids healthy and safe and thriving. And we know that when kids have the tools and the resources to thrive, they are much less likely to exhibit some of those more risky behaviors like substance use, like bullying, or less likely to develop a mental health challenge or a mental health disorder. And so we are a almost fully grant-funded team, really working with the City of Gloucester and community partners like the YMCA of the North Shore, as well as 6 other communities. So we have a regional coalition called the Regional Youth Prevention Network that encompasses the City of Gloucester as well as Rockport, Manchester by the Sea, Essex, Ipswich, Beverly, and Danvers. And so we collaborate with community partners across those 7 communities to build healthy, safe, and thriving communities for youth.
Very good. So, you guys have started to work together, and that's why we brought you guys in here together to sort of talk about this mission, if you will. What are your goals? Like, what can we help you to do today with this community? Is this an outreach? Is this a participation? Is this a notification to everybody, a reminder of the resources and how to get to them? Because what it really comes down to is action, right? Mm-hmm. We want more people involved in these programs that exist and are, being created by the YMCA and the North Shore too. Talk about that. Talk about what we want to give to this community or what they can do if they're listening to this.
Yeah. Chelsea, do you want to start?
Sure. I think Ranjiv and I have similar goals of being on this podcast to raise awareness about the importance of mental health and wellness, and not looking at mental health as separate from physical health, that health is health, and that encompasses your, as you said, body, mind, and spirit. And so really raising awareness and reducing the stigma of mental health, talking about mental health, taking care of our mental health, whether that be on the prevention side, which is sort of where I sit on my team, of doing the things you need to do and getting connected to the resources that can keep you healthy, and also knowing that it's okay to ask for help when maybe your mental health isn't so great, that it is okay to ask for help and that help is available. So that's kind of that's my goal.
Yeah.
Give us
being
some
here.
of those you mentioned resources there. Let's say somebody's already identified a family member or themselves, and they are working through something. What are some of these resources that they can call upon, and for what particular reasons?
Sure. I don't want to jump ahead, but I will
You
say
have to now.
One, I think, skill that we try to teach, and I know that Ranjiv at the YMCA is using the same model, is a model called mental health first aid, which teaches regular people, not mental health providers, how to recognize the signs of someone who may need some extra mental health support, and then teaches them a 5-step action plan to get that person connected to resources. So I think knowing the resources is really important, and having the tools and the confidence to be able to breach that conversation to say, hey, I really care about you, and I've noticed that you seem different, you seem down, you seem different than you normally would be, and you deserve to feel better. And so let's talk about that and what that might look like for you, and then help them get connected to resources. We know that that could be a peer that's having that conversation. That could be a parent. That could be a teacher. It could be a coach. It could be anyone, a neighbor. So we offer a lot of trainings for adults and for teenagers on how to have those conversations and how to know when you might need to have that conversation. And then obviously knowing about the available resources is really important as well. So in the state of Massachusetts, we're really fortunate to have the Massachusetts Behavioral Health Helpline, which is free for anybody to call to get connected and get a list of providers who take their insurance, who have availability, and who can provide the type of mental health care that's needed. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is always really important for folks to know about, and that's nationwide. So just like you'd call 911 for an emergency that has to do with, maybe physical safety, 988 is a call and text line that anyone can access 24/7 that can connect them to a trained volunteer who can get them the supports they need.
So you'd literally just dial 988 like you would dial 911?
Yes. And that
people
is,
may not know that. I didn't know
A
that.
lot of folks don't know that. And it's such an important resource.
It's only a couple years old, I
Yeah.
think, like 2 or 3 years old, and that's nationwide. So yeah, it's very important, 988. Call or text. We know that a lot of people, including young people, may not feel comfortable calling, but texting might feel a little bit more accessible.
Could you call if you're worried about someone 988?
Yes.
So you're like a mom and you're like, oh, my kid is just really not with it today, and you call it and just they'll help you troubleshoot how to best help.
Definitely. Yeah, they'll never turn anyone away. So you can call about yourself or someone you know, or text. And that, again, that's 24/7. So it could be 3 a.m, and you can reach out to that line. 988. I'll say it again. I also want to say there's a lot of local resources in this community on Cape Ann that are really amazing. The schools, the public school systems have wonderful clinical staff available. So for parents or youth, I always encourage them to reach out to the school. Children's Friend and Family Services right here on Cape Ann is a wonderful mental health resource. Always encourage people to reach out to them. They fall under the Justice Resource Institute, a large mental health agency in the state. There's a lot out there, and sometimes it is just knowing who to ask, where to turn to. But I think connecting with your networks, really, if you are connected to the school, ask the school.
What's the most engaged program that you have right now? If the program that the city of Gloucester and the health department's running around mental health, where people are showing up and people are doing this existing program, what is that program that's going right now? Not necessarily a new one, not necessarily every program, but the most engaged. I think you would be oh, this one's engaged. This is the one we do. But I bet there's an extremely large percentage of people in Cape Ann that wouldn't even know that program.
I will say our youth coalitions, for sure. My colleague, David Tucker, runs a Gloucester Youth Leadership Council for both middle school and high school students. And we have a regional North Shore Youth Leaders Group for high school students across the 7 communities in our network. And that is all about youth-led positive community change. And so we do have a lot of participation and energy from youth in Gloucester and beyond, and we're always open for more. So it's open to anyone. You don't have to have ever participated before to come to an event, to come to a meeting.
And like, when are these meetings? Like, are these like regular? Are these like after school programs? Are these?
Yeah, we actually have a high school meeting tonight at the YMCA, Cape Ann YMCA.
Yeah.
So we have high school and middle school meetings once a month, and we're actually looking to have them more regularly in this upcoming school year. We always have them after school hours, usually in like the late afternoons. So even for folks who have like theater practice or sports, they can come after that. And it's open to any student who's interested.
And this is at these youth coalitions. Is this like, you can come there and you can do homework, or are you like working on a project, or there's just like peers hanging out? Like, what is it?
Great question. It is working on a project that the youth get to decide what that is.
Okay, so they want to clean up the beach.
Yep.
They could choose to do it. It's like almost like community service.
Yeah, and we do that as well. So we have meetings, but we also have volunteer opportunities for our youth, and we have field trips to make it fun, right? So we want to reward our youth, and we want to provide opportunities for them to bond with each other and with other trusted adults in the community. So yes, we definitely volunteer. We partner with organizations like the YMCA to provide volunteer opportunities for kids, and then we let them identify the areas that they care the most about, whether that be mental health or environmental cleanup, and we support them in implementing that change.
And this is free.
This is totally free.
So if you're a parent and you're working till 6 o'clock at night and you want something positive for your kid to do, and maybe even get community service hours. I know our high school in Manchester, Essex needs that. It may even count towards it, but it's like good environment of youth and leaders and whatever. Like, you could have your kid go there for free and hang out and learn and do positive things and be in a trusted environment, and encourage them to go to this.
Yes, we would love for them to participate. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is invited. It is for any youth. It looks good on a resume. It looks good on college applications. And it's an opportunity, particularly for our regional group, our North Shore Youth Leaders Group, to meet other kids outside of your bubble.
Yes.
So it's really an opportunity to get outside your comfort zone, stretch your skills, learn skills. We provide training for our youth, and have fun.
And
Good.
how often do you meet, Chelsea?
We meet once a month for each group, and we're actually looking to increase that meeting frequency. Kids are busy. That's what we've learned.
Yeah.
So we started small. It's been around. Gloucester Youth Leadership Council has been around for a long time, and it's had different iterations over the years. But we try to work around students' schedules so that even if they're doing 15 other things, they can still participate.
Okay. So thank you for diving deep into it. One example of many that we're going to dive deep into. I'm going to pivot over here to Ranjiv.
Yeah.
Similar type of question. Like, what's going on right now? Like, what are you guys doing? What are you trying to get people to engage more in? Like, how is the YMCA offering this to their existing members? And please do touch on the, like, there's no one that can't be a member of the YMCA as well, because that's
right.
important, because I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, I could never do this. I'm not a YMCA member. No, anybody can be.
So my job is leading the new mental wellness initiative, which is called ONEDOOR, and it's a pretty wide-ranged initiative. But we have 63,000 members. We have about 3,000 kids a day in our early education program, 4,500 in summer camp, about 500 in affordable housing units. So we cover a lot of ground. And my job is really to think about mental wellness from a large perspective. But Chelsea and I were talking about this the other day. There's a difference between mental illness, mental health, and mental wellness. And a lot of folks don't understand the difference. And so we've talked about how Mental illness is really when it's a mental disorder where there's a diagnosis. There's a big book that mental health professionals use called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which has a list of all the diagnoses. And that's really what a mental illness is. But mental health, as you said earlier, Chelsea, is really for everyone. It's a state of being. It's how we think, how we feel. It impacts how we behave. But some people say mental health, but they think mental illness. And so part of our mission at the Y is to try to educate people on the differences there. But for mental wellness, the way we see it is it's really a journey that we're all on. We're on in different parts of that path. And how at the Y do we help people along that journey? So it could be affordable membership. It could be affordable childcare. It could be housing. It could be going to your Zumba class. It could be learning some skills from one of our counselors. Like there's so many ways that you can access mental wellness. So at the Y, we talk about promoting mental wellness, supporting mental health, and destigmatizing mental illness.
Yeah, there's a key point that you're saying there, and I just want to hammer it home that everyone deserves mental wellness. And it's not, like, to your point, it's not, myself, a very, like, living a very normal life guy, but I'm an entrepreneur, I'm running a business, I've got 2 kids, like, we find stress in our lives, in a very normal life, and you have to find ways to find those wellness opportunities, and it could be something as simple as yoga, in taking a class and having that mindfulness activity, or it could be more. And there could be more resources that you can bring to that
I
table.
think a lot about the intersection of mental wellness and physical wellness. Like I think we often think about the mind and body as being separate, but in my mind, it's really whole person wellness. And we forget that really some of the basics are probably what's the most important. Good night's sleep, consistent sleep, nutrition, exercise, social connections, some sort of stress management. All those things impact our mental wellness. If I don't sleep, if I don't get my 7 hours of sleep consistently, the research shows an increase in anxiety, depression, obesity, diabetes risk, Alzheimer's risk. I mean, sleep is one of the basic fundamental foundations of mental wellness and physical wellness.
And lack of sleep may be a symptom of a root cause where it may be like, I haven't been able to find good childcare for my kids.
Yeah.
And that's literally keeping me up at night.
Or I'm stressed at my work.
Or I don't have any companions, friends.
All those things. Absolutely.
It could be a lot of different things.
For sure.
But yours sounds like you guys are working on programming, because we have to give you credit where credit's due. You're the first of your kind at the YMCA of the North Shore.
Yeah,
so while there's programming in place, you're also continuously building, continuously looking for feedback.
We have some so we're looking at programs internally, but also looking at programs through partnerships with community agencies. So we have a couple of big ones. So we have partnered with McLean Hospital. So McLean is one of the nation's most well-renowned psychiatric hospitals, training institutions, research institutions, and they happen to have a school service group which supports organizations that work with youth. And because we have so many kids coming to our programs who are struggling with mental health, behavioral challenges, we wanted our staff to be better trained to support them. And so over the last year and a half, we've had regular trainings with this McLean team, ongoing consultations with the group, really to enhance our staff's expertise and skills to support the kids that we work with. The other issue is that trying to get into treatment for kids is so hard. The wait lists can be 6 weeks, could be 6 months, depending on availability, could be a year. We have another partnership with a group called Cartwheel Care, and they are a virtual therapy provider. And they typically work with school districts, where a school district will purchase a certain number of referrals for kids, but also for parent guidance. And they work all the way from pre-K through high school. But the Y also happens to have its own partnerships with some of these school districts. So we came up with this 3-way relationship where either the school or the YMCA could refer to Cartwheel. And the great thing about Cartwheel is that they work 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's no wait list. They have multilingual capacity. They can do individual therapy. They can do parent guidance. They can do psychiatric medication. So we're trying to get this into Gloucester. We have Salem, Beverly, and Haverhill. So if you know of any funders in Gloucester who want to support this, I'd love to partner with them. But it's really important. We want to get this out there.
How much funding do you need to deploy it in Gloucester?
To start it off, so the Y can contribute some, so probably 10 grand would get us off the ground. So the Y could put in some, and then an external funder could put in the rest. We've been talking to Gloucester Public Schools about trying to get it started here. And I would love to get that in there. We've been working with the schools for a while on this. But Chelsea also mentioned mental health first aid. And for me, that's another really important training. So we know that 50% of mental illnesses begin by the age of 14, like 75 by the age of 24. But the average delay between the onset of a mental health symptom and a mental illness symptom and treatment is 11 years. That's a huge gap, And so by training folks on mental health first aid, it allows us to really reduce that gap, to get people more aware of when someone's having a challenge. And as you said, Chelsea, to have this conversation with somebody and get them into some sort of support or resources or treatment.
We want to take a second to acknowledge our sponsors that make this happen. Today we're highlighting the Cape Ann YMCA. Are you looking for a place where your whole family can thrive? The Cape Ann YMCA was the very first YMCA on the North Shore, and today they serve nearly 13,000 members of our community with something for everyone. From licensed childcare for infants through 5th grade to teen leadership programs to the latest fitness classes and pickleball courts, they've built more than just a state-of-the-art facility. With a world-class teaching team and a commitment to intergenerational health, the Cape Ann Y is where the community comes to grow stronger together. Go visit the Cape Ann Y at Gloucester Crossings today. Now on to the show. Let's assume that we can't get everybody to come to mental health first aid.
Yeah.
If we're being realistic,
Sure.
right? Who's like the lowest hanging fruit? If I get maybe if it's a teacher, if teachers could come to all be first aid trained, that's a no-brainer. But what other community members that could be listening to this podcast would be great? We got to get these guys into.
Well, I can speak to the Gloucester public school system. So Amy Cam over at Gloucester Schools, she supports the teen mental health first aid program. So I think all 9th graders and 10th graders get this training. So they can support their classmates. I mean, if more schools could do that, just think about the support these adolescents and teenagers could get from that.
Yeah. So, but yes, we can get schools, we could get teachers, but who else? I'm racking my own brain. Somebody's gonna listen to this and be like, I'm not going to mental health first aid. I'm not. All I do is my own kids. But it's and that's not wrong, and you should do that, and you can do that. But who else? It's even in my own experience, I own a business. 26 people report up to me as a business owner, and the couple managers of my business. We're all dealing with people's lives every day. All these people are my own kids, my employees now, right? And I always have to keep my own cool.
Yeah.
I always have to be aware of what they're dealing with and help them go through that process. So in my own sort of call out, it's even if you're a middle-aged business owner who doesn't deal with youth, there's no reason why you couldn't take this first aid sort of mental health first aid course or learning or teaching and benefit from some of that to just be able to help your own micro community.
Absolutely. I mean, to clarify, there's youth mental health first aid, but there's adult mental health first aid. So if you wanted to take a Saturday off with your team, Chelsea offers free adult mental health first aid. You could do a day-long retreat, and you'd have 26 people trained who are then supporting their families, supporting each other, supporting the people you interact with.
Is that free?
It's free.
So many organizations, including the Gloucester Health Department and the Regional Youth Prevention Network, are funded to provide that training. There's a cost associated with it. It's the National Council for Mental Wellbeing that owns the model. But there are many free trainings available on the North Shore. Obviously, our organizations being a couple of those. But I'm glad you mentioned that, Ranjiv, that there's different models for adults helping other adults, adults helping youth, and teens helping teens. So there's 3 models that are tailored to the specific audience. And it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it really is for everybody, including employers, either for their employees and or for their patrons. Like, there's a lot of service providers in this community on Cape Ann, bars and restaurants, and they may have patrons that they get to know, and it may be a topic of conversation that comes up. So it's definitely a skill or a tool in your toolbox that you can just add.
Yeah.
And you never know when you might need to use it.
And you had 5 trainings in the month of May, was that right?
We had 7.
7.
We had 7.
Record breaking.
One in each of the 7 communities
Yeah.
in the Regional Youth Prevention Network.
How, if you were to take a Saturday, let's say that was the day it was, not saying that it is, but how long is that training?
It's 8 hours, so it's a hefty training. It's really rich. Like, you learn a lot. Like, it really goes into, what different mental health disorders are, how, like, conversation skills, how to have these conversations, what you might notice,
How to ask about suicide risk.
and how to ask directly.
Yeah.
So it's a really rich training. It is a barrier for a lot of folks in terms of the length. Like, 8 hours is a long time. Sometimes it's offered in 2 4-hour days, but still, it's 8 hours total. I think one thing I'll mention is that we are trying right now to develop a training series for, we're calling them trusted adults. So adults who interact with youth, which includes parents, it includes employers, either because they employ youth or they have youth frequenting their business, and it includes other adults who interface with youth, like coaches, teachers. And we're trying to develop a training that incorporates some of the principles of mental health first aid, and then just has other skills around, like, how to have healthy boundaries with youth, how to regulate your own emotions when dealing with youth, how to support positive youth development. And we're trying to see if we can do it in a shorter format, so that folks who are like, I really want to take this, I don't have 8 hours, they can still access some of those skills and add to their toolbox.
Okay. I want to take a minute because I know you guys came in here with stuff that you wanted to talk about too, like other programs, right? Because you have like lists of programs basically of stuff. I want to give you a moment to like talk about some of those. Like Ranjiv, you guys have literal classes at the Y. If you could just rattle some of those off for the listeners as well too. Like, you talked about yoga as an example. It's like, what are these things that are going on that the Y are doing, different programs? Just, if you have them, rattle them off now. We'll do the same. So we make sure we get all these like other things. So it's not like just a first aid, 8-hour commitment class thing. It's other little things too.
Lots of little things. I mean, the Y has been around for decades. I think it's 180 years. But there's a lot of different programs. I think about, there's the stuff that we know about swim classes. There's space to work out. We have things like Zumba, meditation, yoga.
Daycare?
Daycare. So we have childcare from pre-K through, from infants to pre-K. And I think we have about 1,500 kids in those programs across the board. We have after-school programs in 37 schools. So it's another 1,500 kids. We have 4,500 kids in our various summer camps over the North Shore. We have this great program called WaterWise, which is a program to teach kids with autism how to be safe in the water. So we have about 100 kids in that program as well. I mentioned the affordable housing earlier. And so right now we're actually in the process of training a lot of our health and wellness staff in trauma-informed care. So to offer trauma-informed yoga, trauma-informed weightlifting, Those are some of the big ones that we have.
So if somebody was just interested in getting support in any of these areas,
Yeah.
like you're starting to talk about like housing, childcare.
Mhm.
I bet you even have some knowledge and resources around food and so on. If somebody was just interested in or they're struggling to find those resources, they just
Yeah.
walk into a Y and be like, hey, is there somebody here I can meet with that will help advise me on different things I can or should do based on my sort of life situations?
In some sense, Troy, I feel like if it came down to wellness as a whole, yes. In terms of actual resources, I would say the 988 number is probably the better one to go to. But if you were looking for a wellness plan, thinking back to those sleep, nutrition, we actually have 3 dietitians on staff as well. So sleep, nutrition, exercise, stress management, and social supports. I would say the Y is definitely a good
Okay.
resource.
And there's another group in town, Action Inc., that I think does some stuff with
Yeah.
regards to like real like housing and food support. It's like very active and awesome as well. We'll have to get them on to talk about it
Yeah.
too. But same, what City of Gloucester, we've talked about obviously the first aid stuff, but rattle off any of the other programs or the targets that people can go after. So if everybody just knows the depth of what's possible.
Sure. So again, huge plug for Gloucester Youth Leadership Council and then our regional North Shore Youth Leaders Group for youth. For adults, we have a very similar model. We have a coalition, the Regional Youth Prevention Network. We meet monthly. We meet on the 4th Wednesday of every month. Hybrid, so we're meeting in person on July 23rd from 9:15 to 10:30 at Essex Town Hall with a Zoom link. And we're always looking for new folks to join. And joining just means sign up for our email newsletter. We send out a newsletter once a month with tons of resources, upcoming events, trainings, just like sharing best practices. Where do I go if I need XYZ? And then again, we always invite any community member to attend our coalition meetings. We talk about things like mental health and where are the gaps and, what programs are missing that we might be able to create in partnership with our community partners. So join our mailing list, come to our meetings. And if you're a parent, we just started again our Gloucester Parent Advisory Council. So if you're a parent or guardian, we realize that meeting in the morning, which is when we have our normal coalition meetings, is not always feasible for folks. So we have evening meetings on Zoom for our Parent Advisory Council to address all the things that we've been talking about. One thing that came up last night in our meeting was the need for parents to know where to find resources. So utilizing the Facebook groups, utilizing Gloucester Moms, utilizing Better Together Cape Ann to post some of these resources to make sure that people know where do they go. They go to Action for housing. They go to the Open Door for food support. They go to the YMCA for health and wellness. And they can call 988 or text 988 for mental health supports.
You mentioned something there. You meet at the Essex Town Hall, like the town of Essex Town Hall.
We rotate. So in our Regional Youth Prevention Network, it covers 7 communities, Danvers, Beverly, Ipswich, Essex, Manchester, Gloucester, and Rockport. So to be equitable, we try to have our monthly meetings in each of those 7 communities. So last month we had our meeting in Ipswich. This month it's Essex. Next month, actually, we're meeting at the Greater Beverly YMCA. So we really try to ensure that any community partner in any of those 7 communities can have a easier chance of getting to a meeting in person. And then we always make it hybrid so anyone can join via Zoom.
So that's important because technically you work for the City of Gloucester Health Department,
Yes.
but you cover the similar, like, broader Cape Ann
Yes.
scope. That's awesome. Good for you. I like that.
Yeah, but I think the state of Massachusetts is moving towards a more regional approach for public health. And so it was really are encouraging and are funding regional groups to address public health issues. So
Yeah. Well, you only have 3 resources at your team, right? You were saying?
there's 3 of us, Lacey Natty, David Tucker, and myself.
Oh, man. In 7 communities.
That's amazing.
We really rely on our community partners. I
Yeah.
mean, that it makes it possible to get people to the table, which is why our coalition is so important because it brings folks from across the spectrum from, again, basic needs like housing and food to mental health, to schools, to businesses, to law enforcement, media, to come together to talk about how we can make our community healthier and just an overall better place to live.
I want to put a plug in for one more resource. So we have a group called the Walk Talk Collective, which currently runs out of Ipswich and Salem. I'd love to get it to Gloucester. It's basically a low-key group. They meet once a week, and it's just a group of people who take a walk for an hour and talk about what's on their mind. That's pretty much it. And it allows some exercise, social connection. Ideally, you get outdoors and you get to talk about mental health. So if there's anybody in the Gloucester community who wants to start one out of our Cape NY, would love that.
All they have to do is just walk and lead and
Yeah, just sort of
listen.
show up at a certain time. We'll sort of pick a time and a day together, and the Y will help sort of advertise it and put it out there. It takes a while to get off the ground, but we've got 2 little groups out of Ipswich and Salem currently running. Right now they meet Mondays at 6:30 in the morning. Doesn't have to be at that time. We could just pick another time.
Is there a bus? Like, do you guys have like a Y bus so we can like load up and like
I
take them to
wish.
like a cool walk?
I wish we
Or
did.
are we walking from the Y every time?
We'd have to pick a different location. Pick a nice location.
So we'd say like meet at like Long Beach and we're gonna walk
we
the
could
beach.
we could meet at the beach. Yeah, as long as there's parking and ideally a restroom in case someone needs to use the restroom before. But you don't have to be a member of the Y. It's open to the public. But it's just a low-key way to get together, talk about what's
It's
on your
in
mind
Ipswich and Salem right now.
currently.
So if anybody wanted to do it in Essex, Manchester, Gloucester, Beverly.
So we have Salem, Beverly, Ipswich, Marblehead, Haverhill, and then Cape Ann. So yes, any of those locations outside of Ipswich and Salem, yeah, we could
Okay.
do it.
I was going to say sign me up, but not at 6:30 in the morning.
You can sign up whatever time you want.
We could-
Now you're hooked in. You're doing it. You're the
We're
leader.
trying to pick this is perfect, Chelsea. got you here.
Like
but-
3 p.m.?
It could be as long as, but we're trying to get a time where as many people can go as possible. And 6:30 is iffy. It's like some people can make it, but for me as a parent, there's no way I want to be there at 6:30, right? But 3 p.m., 5 p.m., we could
Like
play
Once
around.
a month?
5:30 Boulevard
It's once a
walk.
week.
Once a week.
Once a week.
You know,
You're hooked in.
5:30 p.m.
Yeah.
I like your 3 o'clock. You can meet at the school. You don't have to meet at the Y. You can do a school walk.
You could do it with kids. Why
You
not?
could meet. Actually, I will say the Gloucester High School Health Center has a walking group that they started
Oh, they
for
do?
high school students, which is really cool.
Very nice.
I'm on the fence. I'm gonna think about it.
About the time or the walk?
About my ability to commit at the current state of my workload.
Yeah.
But I might pick up in Essex.
All the more reason if the workload is that stressful
I know,
to take
right?
an hour and
Mm.
just go for a walk and make some friends and it's just talk.
There's going to be an episode coming out soon about some events that I actually just took part in
Okay.
from an entrepreneurial perspective that everybody's going to hear that you'll know more soon.
Yeah. So Troy for the Walk Talk Collective and Mental Health First Aid for his team.
Yeah,
I signed you up.
done.
My work is done.
So I want to recap one thing, and you guys do the same. Like, follow my lead here. So there's a phone number, 988. It's the equivalent of 911, but it's 988. And essentially, it's someone to talk to. And it doesn't have to be an emergency. So I might get myself in a little bit of trouble here, but I'm going to say it anyways. Because I think it's more important that people try it and get comfortable with it so that they do it when the time comes. And if that means you call that thing just to prove that it exists and that there's no pressure and that things work to yourself so that you can call it in the future in a time of need, I say go do that. And I may get a little pushback from people on that, but I'd rather you feel comfortable with it when you need it and test it and then not use it. So 988, new resource I learned about. I think a lot of people are going to learn about that. If someone else had a direct resource to go look up some of these resources, are we going to like cityofgloucester.com health department to find some of these links to some of these things?
Yes, we definitely have a resource list on the health department page on the website. It's probably not the most user-friendly way to find resources. We also have a regional youth prevention network.org website that has very similar resources.
Like, how is somebody gonna sign up for first aid? Where we going? Where we sending them? How are they gonna find it?
Call me 978
Ooh,
325
yes.
5272.
You just left a phone number online. This is awesome. Say it again.
It's already on the website, so it's already out there. So 978 325 5272.
It's ask for Chelsea.
Ask for me. It's my direct line.
Perfect.
I am not putting my phone number on
It's
there.
not my cell. It's not
Not
my
a
cell.
chance.
It's my desk phone.
But another good resource is the HelpHUB. It's a website. I think it's helphub.com or .org, which also has a great collection of local resources and national resources for mental health support.
And for the Y stuff, what is the Y's email for our Cape Ann Y collective?
It's the same. I should know the
I know.
website.
I always mess. It's Google Cape Ann YMCA, and you get the collective unique email or unique web address.
Yeah, I think
to
if you
go
go to the YMCA of the North Shore website,
Yeah.
it will direct you to the local Cape Ann Y as well.
Yeah, or walk in. I've walked into the Y before. They'll give you like a free day if you
yeah.
you haven't been a member of the Y and you walk into a Y and you're like, I want to test out these services, like the gym or the
Yeah.
pool or something. They'll give you a free day, and you tell them Troy sent you from Cape Ann Conversations.
But also back to your earlier point, Troy, that we would never turn away somebody because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Like the Y, thinking about mental wellness, the Y will find a way to help you get in.
Yep.
So that should never be a barrier to somebody get into the Y. And the Y also has an online platform, Y360. So if you cannot make it physically, you can actually work out, exercise from home on our platform.
I
And
didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
is that how you sign up for the classes too? Is through that Y360?
I believe it is. Yeah.
I think it is too. It's because it's getting more popular.
Yeah.
I hear about it more from other people. Okay. Ranjiv, Chelsea, I appreciate you coming on. Any last parting thoughts?
I would just say mental health is health, and it's okay to access the resources that are available. That's why they're there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And bring a friend to all of these things because it's sometimes even more fun to do with friend.
Yeah.
Always.
I will second that. That's the importance of mental health and wellness, taking the time for yourself, all of us talking about it to reduce the stigma. I
Yeah.
think it's really important.
Good. I think it is too because we have an awesome community and these resources aren't available in every community out there in the world. I continue to say that over and over again as we have awesome guests on like you guys. It's like this is huge. Where I grew up in northern Michigan, we didn't have these resources. You know what I mean? And to have them in our backyard and to not use them is silly. So go use them, guys. Thank you guys both
Yeah.
for coming
Thank
on.
you, Troy.
And we'll have you back.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Chelsea.
thanks so much. Thanks, Ranjiv.
Yeah.